Hi, what's this angle? What am I doing here? So, I love end of the year content. It's my favorite thing to consume on BookTube and has been for a very long time. And I am excited that I am hitting end of the year content. I'm already planning my faves and least faves and all those lists for the end of the year. But one of the things I love about the end of the year content and have loved for the last few years is Goodreads Choice Awards discourse. Now, yes, it's just a popularity contest, but it's a popularity contest I have been taking part in for very many years. I have been on Goodreads since 2007. So for math, that's I can't do math. 13 years? No, that's not 13 years. 17. Because 2027 is 3 years from now. 17 years. Holy 17 years. We're going to skip right on over that. As I was saying, I've been on Goodreads since 2007. I enjoy Goodreads. I have built a following there. I have friends that have been on there. And I enjoy the Goodreads Choice Award content. I really do. So what I want to do is, last year, they made some very interesting choices. And yes, I was happy that they added romantasy, but they also got rid of comics, graphic novels, and manga and children's middle grade, which was upsetting. But on top of it, the sci-fi category was lacking, should we say. Sci-fi has never been the strongest category on Goodreads, on book social media, anywhere you follow. Sci-fi is just not popular. And which is a shame because there's so much cool sci-fi out there. There's so much sci-fi that is just interesting and fun and does all the same things that fantasy does, but just it looks different. Last year, it seemed like Goodreads was really leaning more in a realistic fiction, literary fiction with some speculative bent, and then called it sci-fi. There's a lot of that. With that in mind, I thought I would give it a try to see if I could predict what the sci-fi nominees were going to be for this year. So I have my Canva project. I am not great at it. I have my spreadsheet. So I started a spreadsheet, but then I watched My Name is Marines do her prediction for debut, and she actually was tracking some numbers on her big spreadsheet that I didn't even think about. So I ended up plugging in a lot of that data too, which helped a lot in terms of trying to get through this. And because it is a popularity contest, and I want to get as many right in the top 20 and the top 10 as I can get. So I'm just gonna go with the numbers, inspired by Marines. So here is my screen. Yes, I am such a Canva newbie. I just am. And here's my spreadsheet. I'm gonna widen my spreadsheet a little bit so that you can see everything, and maybe, just a quick view at 100% of what I have. So I have the book title, the author, I have the publication date, so everything's 2024. I didn't really dig into those that would be eligible from 23 because Goodreads has the cutoff somewhere like the beginning of November, maybe beginning of December, but I didn't have the bandwidth to track that too. I have the rating. Okay, so here are the numbers that Marines was tracking that inspired me to add here too. So the number of ratings that the book has received, so essentially people who have actually read the book and rated it, or rated the book, given it a star rating, the number of people who have actually written reviews, the people who have added it to their TBR, their want to read shelves, and then just how many have shelved it. So that's shelved as want to read, read, or if people have other exclusive shelves that have been put on there, DNFs, whatever. So that's the shelved number, the greater number. I'm also tracking did the book show up on some kind of Goodreads list? They do list articles once or twice a week all throughout the whole year, so I kind of skimmed a lot of those to see if they popped up on those lists, because that's pretty much a great indicator of what's going to be popular in Goodreads. I tracked if they're a part of a book box, and it's a little lacking because it's sci-fi. Nobody cares. I tracked if they're a part of a big book club. Only 2 were part of big book clubs. Again, it's sci-fi. Nobody cares. I have a column for if I personally have read the book, and then a column for if this author has actually been nominated and or won previous Goodreads Choice Awards. So that's a good indicator of the fact that they have popularity, and Goodreads also recognizes them as authors to push. My own notes, mostly just debut and translated. And then I added something for genre, and this is essentially subgenre, because Goodreads, these are all sci-fi or ones that Goodreads has classified as sci-fi themselves. And I think getting more of the subgenre gives me a better idea of how people in general are going to take to it. And I think it's interesting to see what types of sci-fi actually make it to these lists and what types of sci-fi are actually popular versus, I have all the books here. I think I have 26 books, and I just dumped them here. So I'm going to have a top 10 section and a top 20 section. And I'm just going to kind of talk through it. So I think I have it right now. I have these books sorted by how many people have actually shelved the books. So essentially how many people have gotten eyes on these books in any fashion. And it's really obviously the Ministry of Time is up there. This is like a time travel, historical blend, romance kind of situation going on. But this has been pushed. It got a lot of buzz. It was in Book of the Month. It was a Good Morning America book club pick. So that's where a lot of the popularity is coming from as well. Let's see, next in shelved, we have Annie Bot by Sierra Greer. Oh, I don't have Annie Bot on here. So Annie Bot is second here for, how many people have had eyes on the book. So I think Annie Bot is really going to be over here in the top 10. Next is I Cheerfully Refuse by Leif Enger. This is one where I think it probably has just very slight speculative elements, maybe could be considered dystopian in some fashion, but to me, it appears to be mainly literary. But Goodreads, in their listicles and stuff, has put it under sci-fi. It has sci-fi and dystopian tags. That's how everybody's tagging it. So I think it's going to pop up here in the sci-fi as a literary sci-fi. And it was in the Book of the Month. So, or that's Annie Bot. It was a Barnes & Noble book club pick, so it got a lot of eyes in that way. So I Cheerfully Refuse is going to be there. And next is John Mars, The Family Experiment. I didn't even know John Mars had something out this year. I was surprised last year when his book from the year before ended up on the sci-fi list, because usually he's a thriller. But he writes in a speculative sci-fi, near future sci-fi lens. He writes his thrillers through that lens, so I can see why he'll be put in sci-fi. He's a very popular author. He has a big audience, so he's going on there in the top 10. And I'm gonna have to make some room here. And then rounding out my top 5, top 6, I have The Other Valley by Scott Alexander Howard. This is another one where it does have more sci-fi I'm so sorry if you're distracted by my screen. I am a clicker. I am an anxious, nervous clicker when I have my hand on a mouse, so I'm going to try not to do that. This one is more, it is literary, but it has more sci-fi elements. This is one where there are 2 towns, but they're kind of like one part of the town is 20 years in the past or something like that. And then a girl, like, you're not supposed to notice. It reminds me a lot of The City in the City by China Miéville. But a girl notices that a couple has come over from the other town and things ensue. So I would classify this as more sci-fi than I Cheerfully Refuses. So, and that has pretty good audience. It has, 62,000 ads, 48,000 want to read, has a 3.89. So it's doing pretty good. So that's going to be up there. Annie Bot, Other Valley. And then The Mercy of Gods by James S.A. Corey. I was not the biggest fan of this book, but it's James S.A. Corey. He is a popular sci-fi author, and I think on name recognition alone, he's probably going to hit into the top 10. So that rounds out 6 books. Now, after this, it really is a crapshoot. I have Beautyland here. I had not heard of this until I started looking through Goodreads lists. So I am tentatively keeping Beautyland here in the top 10 for now. I really don't know how to feel about it. It's it seems weird. I read the synopsis and didn't really know what to think of it. It does seem obviously sci-fi. It's kind of spacey, but kind of dystopian and weird, and I wasn't sure what to make of it. So I thought that was interesting. So I tentatively top 10, definitely top 20, but tentatively top 10. Next in these numbers, I have Baby X. I've been seeing this around mainly because it has been available on NetGalley for ages, even after it came out. I kept seeing it every time I looked on the NetGalley sci-fi section. That's the only reason I know about it. This is a, what did I put here? Where's Baby X? It's a thriller. I don't know how I feel about this. It doesn't have the best reviews. 3.85. I mean, compared to some of the others here, it seems okay, but I don't know. I'm hedging, keeping it on this side. Next, we have Hum by Helen Phillips. Okay, so Goodreads, apparently you have to have a 3.5 or higher to be on, the Goodreads Choice Awards. Hum is at a 3.52. So to me, that's going to be very low in the top 20 if I keep it in the top 20, because there's, I guess, like, we're probably going to get the nominees probably next week, within the next week or two. And I don't know if that's enough time for it to drop below 3.5. Maybe they've set their things in stone. But also, it is a popularity contest, but also sometimes Goodreads kind of like editorializes the list a little bit. So they could keep Hum on there. The author has been a nominee before. It was on Book of the Month. It's climate fiction, dystopian. I don't know. It's a possible. I don't know. We're going to keep it vaguely here. The Stardust Grail by Yume Kitasei. I like this one because it is actually, when I think of sci-fi, it is sci-fi. Now, sci-fi can mean a lot of things, but to me, I like it when we have spacey sci-fi in this top 10, in the top 20. The Mercy of Gods by James S.A. Corey is spacey alien sci-fi. So part of me wants to keep it in the top 10. I can't remember if last year her debut novel, The Deep Sky, made it to the top 10, but she was a nominee. So a low top 10, I think, is where she's going to be. All right, next, Red Side Story by Jasper Fforde. This is a weird one. So I think the only reason it has this many shelved is because people have been waiting for this sequel for years and years and years. This is a dystopian, weird, kind of fantasy dystopian story. The first book, I think Shades of Grey, came out, I don't know, like 10 years ago or something like that. And this finally came out. It only has 833 reviews as of when I copied this information down. So I don't know, but it has a 4.48, but I think that's because the only people reading this are the people who've been waiting for it forever. So I'm putting Red Side Story low top 20, I think. Next, I have Absolution by Jeff Vandermeer. Now, this is the fourth book in a series. Jeff Vandermeer is a big name, and Absolution is the fourth book in the series that starts with Annihilation, which was a movie, very well received, one of the most beloved sci-fi horror out there. Weird sci-fi, he's very much beloved. But this only came out October 22nd. It's only a couple weeks old. And like, as of when I got this, it only 600 people rated it, 220 people wrote reviews. But it's Jeff Vandermeer, so I don't know. It also has a 3.79. Top 20, I think we're putting a top 20. This is such a mess. Okay. I don't know. High top 20, low top 10, I think. All right, we're moving on to Service Model by Adrian Tchaikovsky. Now, Adrian Tchaikovsky has two options here that I picked out. We have Alien Clay and Service Model. Alien Clay has only about 5,000 less shelved here, but and Service Model was read a bit more widely, but it could be a toss-up for either one. I don't know if you'll get both, and of the two, I think Service Model is probably going to make it into the top 10 when he gets here. Because I think that's the one that was read a little bit more. It was read more widely. Obviously, the numbers say so. But I think it was more well received. And it's more well received by a more general audience as well. Versus Alien Clay, which is very deeply, like, alien horror-ish versus Service Model, which is kind of like, it's about AI robot and it has a more of a humorous tone at times. So I think Service Model is going to be the more recognizable one and the one that's going to get a few more votes. So I'm putting Service Model in the top 10. We already have, I already have 9 in the top 10 now. I don't know what I'm doing here. Okay. Oh no, don't do that. What's next? Polostan by Neal Stephenson. This is a hard one for me because Neal Stephenson pretty much always makes the list. He is a very popular writer, but A, this book only came out in October. B, a lot of people are saying that it doesn't really feel sci-fi. It feels a lot more just like plain historical fiction, but it's still being shelved by people as sci-fi because it's Neal Stephenson. So, and I think Goodreads has actually put it on a list or two as sci-fi. So I don't know which way to go with this. I think it's going to make the top 20, but then it's going to hit the top 10 on name recognition alone compared to a lot of the other books that will be in the top 20. I think Neal Stephenson, if this makes the top 20, Neal Stephenson's name alone is going to have people voting for him. That's what I think. So I think Polostan's going to push through to top 10, especially when I'm looking at a lot of the other stuff here. So next on, we go to The Stars Too Fondly. This is a sci-fi romance. I think it probably has the more like romancy crowd, but it just, I don't really think it really made a big splash or anything like that. So top 20 maybe. I think Goodreads liked it. It was on Book of the Month as an audio pick. That's about it. What's next? Made for You. This is an AI kind of situation, sort of close to Antibot, actually. It's very similar to Antibot. And I don't know about this one. It's a 3.7 versus Antibot's 3.8. But Antibot had a lot more eyes on it. So I think Made for You might make it as an interesting, you know, feminist AI-ish take. I think the main character is a synth, however that, I don't know how that is described as in the book, but in the synopsis, she's described as a synth. So I don't know. This is hard. All right, next I have, here's Alien Clay. I think Alien Clay, I'm gonna put in the top 20. All right, next is my, this is hard. Okay, so Snow Globe by So-young Park. I just hated the way I said that. Park So-young. This, I don't know if this counts because this was already published in South Korea, but it was, the translated version was published this year. So I want to put it on here because it did get eyes on it, 20,000 shelved, but it has a 3.6. But it does have like, I don't know, 3,000 ratings, 700 reviews. Part of me wants to put it on there, but I don't know. I just don't know. I think it'll get there. I don't know if I would kick this for when I have to get rid of a bunch of ones, so we'll see. Next, I have Ocean's Godori. I did not like this book. I DNF'd the arc that I had, but it is fun sci-fi. It is Korean-based sci-fi, feminist. It is queer. I think it got a little bit of a push on Goodreads, but not much. So I'm just, I don't know. I really don't know. Like, it could stay, it could drop off. I feel like it might stay. It feels like exactly the sort of thing that Goodreads would put on this list just to have on the list. So we're gonna keep it there. Now I have The Tusks of Extinction by Ray Naylor. I put this on here because it is sci-fi that it has decent ratings. It got good eyes on it, but I think in terms of numbers, I don't know, but also I feel like this is something Goodreads would editorialize and put on this list. I really do. Okay, what's next? Those Beyond the Wall. I have this on here because the first book, let me see. Yeah, the first book was a Goodreads Choice Awards nominee last year or 2 years ago. So I have that on here just because of that. I feel like Goodreads would add this just because of that. but I don't think it's not moving beyond top 20 at all. So that is kind of maybe mid top 20. Next, I have Lost Ark Dreaming by Sui Davies Okunbowa. I read this. I liked it. A 3.6 and only 200 reviews. I think it's a low one. This is a dystopian climate fiction, post-apocalyptic kind of thing. Next is Toward Eternity by Anton Her. I want so bad to say that this will be on the top 20, but I don't think it's gonna make it. It does feel like maybe Goodreads could editorialize and add it, but it's not gonna make it. I don't think it is, so very low chance. Next, I have Not Till We Are Lost. I only had this on here because it is a popular sci-fi series on Audible and Kindle Unlimited. This is the Bobiverse. I've been meaning to read this for a very long time, but I want to point out that I'm dropping it. I don't think it's going to make it because pure sci-fi like this, space opera, hard sci-fi like this, does not make it onto these lists at all. But I wanted to point out, first of all, for having only 10,000 shelved, we have 4.2K ratings and a 4.27. Now, 4.27 rating is essentially because it's book 5, and by the time someone's in book 5, they're loving the series, so they're going to be higher anyways. But I just wanted to highlight this. Maybe it's like an honorable mention. But this, yeah, we're deleting it now, like just getting out of here. But R.I.P. Bobiverse. Next, I have Full Speed to a Crash Landing. I've been kind of seeing this pushed a little bit. This is basically a sci-fi romance. Beth Revis has been a YA author, and she has made Goodreads Choice Award nominees lists quite a few times as a YA author. But I don't know that it really had any good numbers at all. It does have 1,000 ratings, but I don't know. I think mid, but I think they might put it on there. And then last, The Imposition of Unnecessary Obstacles. This one I definitely just put on here so I could talk about it here because I love this series. It has a place in my heart. But the first book didn't even make it to the nominees last year, and there's just not enough eyes on this. So as much as I hate to do it, it's also an easy remove. So now we're down to what do I keep? What do I get rid of? What do I move to the top 10? Because, I actually have a top 10 here. Do I keep this top 10 like this? I'm going to sort everything by, let me say number of ratings now and see how things shake out. So Ministry of Time is still there. Annie Bot, Family Experiment, Mercy of Gods, Beautyland, The Other Valley, I Cheerfully Refuse, Service Model, Red Side Story. But here we have a huge jump from I Cheerfully Refuse to Service Model of 5,000 ratings. I don't know. I'm gonna keep Service Model in the top 10. I think it's gonna push to the top 10. But of all of these, I guess by pure numbers alone, Red Side Story. But I don't know. I really don't know. This is so hard. This is harder than I thought it would be. Especially because you have a super easy, like obvious, like amount of numbers, but then you get to a point where it's like fiddly small numbers. Service Model, Red Side Story, Service Model. Polostan is taking up the 10th spot. Where is Polostan? Polostan only has 129. Polostan only has 129 reviews to 23,000 shelved, but it also only came out in October. But I mean, there was one year where Goodreads added a Brandon Sanderson that had not come out yet. And it made it to I don't remember if it won, but it made it pretty high. So I feel like because it's Neal Stephenson, they would put it on here. And because it's Neal Stephenson, he'll be voted into the top 10. So I feel like that, but when I look at this top 10, it looks awful. But I don't know that I can put Red Side Story in over Polostan, even though the numbers don't lean towards Polostan, but I gotta keep Polostan there. Polostan is not a real word anymore. I've been saying it too many times. Oh, I hate it. Okay, I think this is gonna have to be the top 10 based on numbers and vibes. Numbers and vibes. So for the top 20, I think we're gonna get rid of Lost Ark Dream. We're gonna get rid of Snow Globe. I don't think Snow Globe's gonna be put on the list. Red Side Story is for sure staying. I think Goodreads is gonna editorialize and put Ocean's Godori on there. I think they're gonna do the same with Hum. I don't know about the Stars too. I think they may put Toward Eternity on there. I don't know if they will double up with Adrian Tchaikovsky, but Alien Clay is popular. They've got to put Jeff Vandermeer on there, no matter what the numbers are. So that leaves me with what? I'm at 9. I think they're going to put Beth Rebus. So that is going to remove the Stars Too Fondly, Those Beyond the Wall, and the Tusk of Extinction. But Lost Ark Dreaming didn't really make a big splash. But they could do it. They could do it because it's an African author, dystopian. Oh, I feel like the big question here is Baby X and maybe Hum. I think Hum has a better chance, but Baby X also has that thriller vibe that could go on there. Ooh, Baby X. Oh, Baby X also has the numbers. So Baby X has 52,000 shelved to 1,100 ratings, or 1,100 reviews and 4,000 ratings. I think we're gonna have to keep Baby X, and we're gonna have to keep Beth Rebus. The Stars Too Fondly. The Stars Too Fondly was an audiobook pick for Book of the Month, not a regular pick. Hum was Book of the Month, so we're keeping Hum. Baby X was also Aardvark. Aardvark is not as popular as Book of the Month, but that's not nothing. It shows that there was a publication push, there was marketing push for it. I think we're gonna get rid of Full Speed to Crash Landing because the Stars Too Fondly is gonna fill that sci-fi romance pick. It's also queer. And we're gonna get rid of Tusk of Extinction. Now, do we keep Those Beyond the Wall? But what do we get rid of if we keep Those Beyond the Wall? Do we get rid of Lost Ark Dreaming? Do we get rid of Toward Eternity? I think we get rid of Lost Ark Dreaming and we put Those Beyond the Wall there. This is not like in order what I think is going to happen, but I have my top 20 here and I have my top 10. The winner is going to be The Ministry of Time. There's no question about it. It just is. I'm pretty sure they're going to put it in sci-fi and it's going to win because it has huge numbers. Yeah, so that I think is what the sci-fi nominees are going to be. So we have, starting from the top 20, we'll just go through the whole list. So The Ministry of Time by Kaliane Bradley, The Family Experiment by John Mars, I Cheerfully Refuse by Leif Enger, The Other Valley by Scott Alexander Howard, The Mercy of Gods by James S.A. Corey, Annie Bott by Sierra Greer, Beautyland by Marie-Helene Bertino, Service Model by Adrian Tchaikovsky, The Stardust Grail by Yume Kitasei, Polostan by Neal Stephenson, Made for You by Jenna Satterthwaite, Baby X by Kira Peikoff, Red Side Story by Jasper Fforde, Ocean's Godori by Elaine Yu Cho, Alien Clay by Adrian Tchaikovsky, Those Beyond the Wall by Micaiah Johnson, Toward Eternity by Anton Her, Hum by Helen Phillips, Absolution by Jeff Vandermeer, and The Stars Too Fondly by Emily Hamilton. And I think the winner is going to be The Ministry of Time. That is my prediction for the top 20, the nominees for the Goodreads Choice Awards 2024 sci-fi category. I guess we'll find out when we find out. I'm probably going to I'm going to film myself doing a live reaction to when the nominees all come out. They usually come out in the middle of the week when I'm at work and I can't do anything. So, I will, when they come out, I'll get home, pop on the ring light and my phone, and we'll go through the nominees when they happen, and we will compare and see how much I get right. I'm hoping for 50%. I'm shooting for 50% of the top 20 being correct. I will be okay with 30%. But I feel like it's going to be 50% at least. I feel like. So, there we go. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching me nerd out about dumb things that don't really matter except for a very specific nerdy part of the book internet. But if you're here for this, thank you. And we will continue on this Goodreads Choice Awards journey. All right. Thanks. Bye.